Welcome to Golden Mastermind Seminars Radio with your host, Jeffrey Combs.
Good afternoon, Jeffrey Combs. Breathe, release, and let go. It is, my hair's a little sticking up here today. It is Tuesday, the first Tuesday of May 7th. Good to be here with you on a Breathe, Release, and Let Go day. Beautiful day in sunny Central California. It's interesting. They call where I live Northern California. However, there's about 8 hours to the border of Oregon. So it's really Central California. Stockton, California. Good to be here with you on a beautiful May day, 2024. Topic for today's Facebook Live is join me live at 1 p.m. Pacific, Tuesday, May 7th for the Golden Mastermind Seminars podcast, where you experience the science of attraction. Attraction is a skill. I've been saying that for many years. The common spiritual term is the laws of attraction. The more science-based term is there is a science to attraction, and I will cover that in today's Facebook Live. On the syllabus for today's Facebook Live that we email to our email list every week when it goes out on a Monday, right here, the science of attraction. And then if you're following along with me today, attraction is a skill. Why you attract what you attract, evaluating a lifetime of attraction, letting go of fight or flight, clarity of who and what you attract, attraction skills on command daily, and then there's always a parking spot up front for me. So these are some of the points that I will cover on today's Facebook Live for you. Right here it is. If you are following along and you did receive this email that we do send out every Monday. If you are not on the email list, go ahead and go to my website and put yourself on that email list. And we do not send a lot of emails to our database, but we do send updates and some of the content. You can find all of my content on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Threads. And I do not use Threads very often. Threads is the newest meta version, let's say sideline version of Instagram. Let's take a look at the syllabus today. And step number 1 is attraction is a skill. Who do you attract? What do you attract? So this would be in business, your personal life, and your intimate life. Those are the 3 situations, or your job, your business, and your personal life. So what do you attract in your personal life, your intimate life, your business, work life? So what is it that you tend to attract? Now, I found myself attracting as I became clean and sober. My attraction skills in business were much higher and much better than they were in my personal life intimately for the mates and dates and women I was dating and marrying. And that eventually improved in 2009 when I realized how codependent I was. On December 6th of 2009, that is my official sobriety date for codependency. Codependency is a major character defect in your ability to attract. So codependency is the feelings you have of wanting to rescue people, wanting to over-obligate yourself to people, people-pleasing, doing too much for others. It'll show up in employees. It'll show up in teammates. It'll show up in men and women you mate, date, and marry. So if you are codependency, the emotions that drive codependency are guilt and resentment. So guilt being you do too much for others. Shame can have a small component of it. Shame is how you feel internally about yourself. But primarily your codependent situations are going to be a direct reflection of your guilt. And then in attraction, you're going to attract people to your businesses, to your clients and customers that oftentimes that you enable, over-obligate, do too much for. If you own a business and you have challenges with employees, this is also a direct reflection of taking a good look objectively from rigorous honesty in why you attract what you attract. In business, if you have a business, look at your customers. Who do you attract? Do you have a high frequency of attracting narcissists who traumatize you and violate you? or overall are your customers and clients that you attract really good quality customers and clients that you're able to collaborate with. Now there will be the law of the few, the 80-20 rule. However, if you're codependent, if you're addicted to codependency, you're going to have high frequency to attract drama, trauma, chaos, and other situations because your ego is trying to control the outcome. And that will show up in attraction. It'll also show up as you build a team and a culture, customers and clients. You will tend, if you're codependent, you will also feel guilty if your customers leave or your clients leave or your teammates leave. And if you're codependent, you'll find a way to internalize it and make it about you. And you'll turn it inside out instead of just letting people come and go. Then the ego will turn it into statements of, I got gaslighted, ghosted, they abandoned me, they neglected me, they rejected me, when in reality, they weren't quality customers and they weren't quality teammates and they left the building. Elvis has left the building. It's just that simple. Some of these people join the witness protection program and you do not have to know all the answers. When you're very clear on who you are with very clear boundaries in your attraction skills, you'll begin to, in a higher law of average and a higher frequency, improve who and what you attract. I am very skilled at attracting quality, like-minded success seekers. Now, this is my belief, and since that is my belief, that is my sense of certainty. If you're uncertain about who and what you attract, then you will be very, very overwhelmed about the possibility of who and what you attract. So the attraction skills come from being skilled at knowing what it is you're seeking to attract. It comes from being certain on who you are looking for. And you have an ideal candidate that you are looking for. And this will show up in mating, dating, owning a business. If you have a leveraged business and you're looking to attract producers, success seekers, influencers, affluencers, people you can create referral-based production with, then that is a skill. If you live in low self-esteem, this will unequivocally affect who and what you attract. Low self-esteem meaning you live in doubt about how good you are. Doubt is the lower self. It is the ego that most of the planet holds on to stay in a place called the payoff. The payoff is recreate the same situation from a neurochemical craving that you're emotionally addicted to that keeps you in the state of disappointment. So disappointment becomes the payoff. When you're disappointed, you're going to attract frequently people to fulfill your disappointment. So if you're married to a narcissist, dated a narcissist, have narcissistic parents, people in your circle of influence, narcissistic teammates that you have challenges separating yourself from, and then your story is, and I've heard this many times, I'm not sure if I can make it on my own. So I'll just stay in this traumatic marriage, this traumatic relationship, this traumatic job to fulfill my feelings because I'm not sure if I can make it in business. I'm not sure if I can be single. I'm not sure if I can be on my own. That's how many people talk themselves into staying in trauma bonds, panic patterns, traumatic relationships. This is how they try and control their children that are on the street or their children that are addicts. One of the most challenging aspects of my coaching is assisting people to understand how their codependency is control and how they try to control the outcomes. And then they are also controlled by other people in their family. And then they stay in these traumatic relationships to fulfill their feelings. Then it begins to show up in multiple ways in your life. This is why emotional sobriety is such a breakthrough for you, that you begin to access the courage to let go. This will begin to change who and what you attract over a period of time. They show up syndrome will begin to have an impact on you as you begin to let go and have clearer boundaries. When you have clearer boundaries with yourself, free of guilt, not worried about other people's feelings. In attraction, thank you, Heather. That's awesome. Heather just posted Codependent No More. So that is a major breakthrough for all of us. So most of you or all of you have highly productive skills, or you wouldn't be on this Facebook Live with me. All of you have experienced business successes. I know every single person on this Facebook Live, so thank you very much for being here this afternoon. I've coached, I think, 99% of you on today's Facebook Live. All of you are talented. All of you have skills. Every single one of you have experienced higher levels of recovery and sobriety than 99% of the population. The lingering doubt is what will continue to hinder you. The lingering doubt of, am I good enough? The lingering doubt, which is the lower self, the lingering doubt that wonders, can I pull it off? Can I keep this? Can I stay successful? That's the lingering doubt that you learn to address, to separate your feelings from, so that you're no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings. This is how you start to understand that attraction is a skill. It starts with you being clear that you are good enough. That is step one. Until you begin to let go of the doubt, and you're human, you can still experience doubt, but learn the skill of letting go and how to neutralize doubt in a very quick forum so that you don't have bad days, you have challenging moments. There is no such situation as a bad day. Every day is a day, but when you put a label on a day, good and bad, now you're in the duality of black, white, right, wrong, good, bad, and now you're in force, counterforce. When you're in your power, you will absolutely have moments, have days, have minutes, have hours, have weeks, have months where you are absolutely attracting at a very high level of consciousness. For you to become a 6 or 7 figure income earner in a leveraged business, your leadership skills will be a component of it. Your production skills will be a component of it, but the major component of your ability to create wealth and prosperity, reciprocity through service and value in free enterprise will be your ability to attract. Attraction will make or break you. Many top-tier athletes go on to colleges and they become college coaches, but their coaching staff and themselves fail to recruit. And if you're not a skilled recruiter in a leveraged business, you will attract your reality, the same situation, over and over. It will absolutely be the determining factor between being average and being good, between good and great and exceptional. Your ability to recruit and or attract. And in intimate relationships, your ability to attract and recruit a soulmate, a husband, a wife, a significant other, a man or woman that you date, mate, and are connected to will be in direct reflection with your ability to love yourself. And if you have challenges loving yourself, if you have challenges living in doubt, it will show up in your soulmate, your teammate, who and what you attract. If you do not have clear boundaries with narcissistic, passive-aggressive parents who are still in your life, if you do not have clear boundaries with people who are challenging and you continue to let them rule your emotional state, it'll show up in multiple areas of your life. This does not have to be perfect. Being effective is good. Being good is good enough. Being great is the next level. Exceptional at it is the highest level, a higher level of consciousness. And when you start to live in enlightenment, when you start to have the Christ within, and when you are absolutely when you're in your prefrontal cortex, where you can discern and decide, when your pineal gland is open, when you can change who and what you attract, then the brain fog that you have held on to will begin to dissipate. When you have clearly defined boundaries and understand that you are not responsible for other people's feelings, you're responsible for yours. When you are very clear with yourself, when you live in humility, you will improve who and what you attract. When you live in pride because you are addicted to walking the stage, getting the recognition, when you require the rewards to fluff up your low self-esteem so you can be confident, then that is not humility. When you begin to attract from your humility, when you are so humble that you cannot be humiliated, when you are not provocable, when you don't feel compelled to argue with someone, when you can let someone go. My sprinkling system was on for several hours yesterday because the person who put the shrubs into my property did not reset the sprinkling system. My neighbor came over and let me know that my water had been on for a number of hours. My lower self-ego autonomically went from 0 to 100 for about 5 seconds. Those 5 seconds, I wanted to make someone wrong. I wanted to get in his face. I wanted him to pay for the water bill that was going to be a couple $100. I wanted to lose my you-know-what on someone. But when I called the man, it was very interesting. He was not humble. He blamed me, like many people do. And I was able to breathe, release, and let him go because the solution was to reset the sprinklers. It was not to get a check from him, and he didn't offer anything. He didn't apologize, and that's cool with me because the pleasure wouldn't have been worth the pain. And it just isn't worth it. I recently redid a construction project. I just started over. It was easier to start over than go into the conflict with the contractor and point out the error of the person's ways, go to small claims court, and do all that frivolity that isn't worth it, and include my assistant, my wife, and all of these things with an ego that I would rather produce a set of results and buy myself out of the problem than be in someone else's problem because the pleasure wouldn't be worth the pain. Now, this was not always like this for my life. I'm a recovering anger addict, rageaholic. I am a recovering have to be right situation, addicted to performance, production, walking the stage, recognition, and all the other situations that go with high self-confidence, low self-esteem, and an ego that has to be right, righteous, and driven by cocaine, methamphetamine, alcohol, sex, pathological lying and stealing, and all the other situations that go with being a chronic addict. When the pleasure is not worth the pain, you can let go of your feelings that are attached to the outcome. I'd like to say hello to Sheila Wright, Tracy Wilford, Ted Hannick, Dorothy Word, all longtime clients. Thank you so much for being here. Heather Vajan, Christy, good to see you. Ashley Jeans, love being your coach. Heather, love being your coach. Scott Lucas, Michael, thank you for joining me. Matt Smith, I was his coach for 6 years. Paige, Tasha, Carlene, I endorsed Carlene's book for many years ago. Michael Cole and I go back to 2002. Jordan, Renee, Cole, Eileen, Scott Fellaini, Chris Boland. Who else do we have? John McFadden. Thank all of you for being here this afternoon. The topic for today's Facebook Live is attraction is a skill. Your attractor factor. Who you attract to your reality will be a byproduct of the energy that you give off. You know that jab that was going on about 4 years ago, and you heard the term spike protein, and you heard the term shedding? Well, we shed our emotions. And so when you're in anxiety, fear, and doubt, when you're in anger, hate, rage, frustration, disappointment, abandonment, rejection, overwhelmed feelings, grief, apathy, and pride, when you're in any one emotion or a combination of these emotions, that you are telepathically sending a set of feelings. And when you're in these emotions, these are mixed emotions because you're in doubt. Doubt is the lower self called the ego. In our world of recovery, the ego is the lower self that lives in anxiety, fear, and doubt, specifically doubt. Doubt is where most of the planet lives. Their foot's on first base, and they can't steal second base. Their foot's on the dock, and their other foot's on the boat. So this is where people procrastinate and avoid. Most of the world lives there. This is why people start a business but never really engage the business. And they can't really get around to it because there's something in the way. It's their upline, it's their sales manager, it's their broker, and it's some excuse that most people are not able to engage the business because they're worried about failing and they're worried about succeeding. And so in that energy, you're going to attract people to your reality that actually hover around the same energy that you shed, or actually even below your energy, so that you can feel a sense of entitlement, or you can feel a sense of leadership, so you can lead these pretty little pets to nothingness. And so that's what many people do is in their codependent addictions, they hold on to a series of PLPs, pretty little pets, going nowhere, and they hover around these teams. And when their team of nobody goes nowhere, then they're disappointed and they quit and find another shiny object, if they even have that ability to find another shiny object. And it's an epidemic that most of the world lives in. It's called procrastination. It's also called avoidance, and that's what many people do. But if you reach that point in your career where you're ready to up-level your game, when you're ready to raise your level of consciousness, that's when you will begin to change who and what you attract. It's they show up. This is what happens. They show up. The parking and the signs begin to show up for you. You get an upgrade on an airplane that you did not expect or did not ask for. The parking spaces are available and you begin to see them. The parking spaces were always there because you were born for these times. You just didn't know it. If you're on this Facebook Live, you were born for the times and you know it, or you wouldn't be here. And so when you have a better understanding of what's going on behind the veil, because your pineal gland is open, you're able to discern what's going on in society, and you're able to breathe, release, and let go, then you are no longer the mind-body connection to the events that shape the feelings, and you are unequivocally improving on who and what you attract. When your attractor factor is elevated, when it is raised, you are going to change who and what you attract. They will begin to show up. They'll show up in your inbox. They will show up in your LinkedIn. They will show up in Instagram. They will show up at a waiter or waitress will ask you a question. They will absolutely show up. I asked in 1996, when I was financially challenged, I asked a woman selling memberships at a health club if she kept her options open for additional streams of income. She said, "Is this MLM?" I said, it is a network marketing company. Are you familiar with the industry? So that's called a U-turn. I asked her a question when she asked me a question, and it led to her listening to a 20-minute conference call. She ended up getting started the very next day. She did not have the startup capital. She had it within 24 hours, and she became a $500,000 income earner 1 year later. That was the first person that I'd ever sponsored in a direct sales network marketing business that achieved six figures. At the time, I was $100,000 in credit card debt. I did not telegraph that or shed that on her because I was not focused on the debt. I was focused on recruiting. I was at that place in my career where it was make or break. It was either one job and wait tables or succeed in business. Now that was my financial rock bottom, but I was not coming from desperation. I was transmuting from inspiration, 10 years clean and sober. I was determined to be a millionaire as an entrepreneur, not sucking air or thousandaire, or any of those other situations that I'd been through for 9 years. I was determined to have a breakthrough year in 1996 and 7, and I was so committed to that my focus was focused only on that, not on dating, not on mating, not on having a good time, not on a vacation, not on a staycation. It was results. It was that time in my career that my focus was changing who and what I attracted. I had flashes of brilliance and glimpses of the people that I required, but I never found those top tier people in the first 9 years of my free enterprise businesses. In a 1 year period, from 1996 to 1997, I had over 20 people start to make four figures and many of them five figures. In a 28-month period, I had 25 people achieve six figures in a direct sales business, which crossed the bridge for me. I've never looked back from that. I began to really understand what it means. The science of attraction is an absolute skill. I've been teaching it for 26 years and living it for many years. I attract to my reality quality, like-minded success seekers. The parking space is always available for me. I always upgrade to seat 2B. I always sit in 2B when I fly first class, which is every time. So the parking space is always there for me. The ticket is always available for me. There's always a box seat open for me. So this is what you begin to expect. When you begin to expect, it becomes your law of expectations. And what you're actually doing is you're educating your expectations. You're re-educating your expectations to expect quality, like-minded people, situations, the parking space, the booth in the restaurant. It shows up everywhere in your life because you deserve it. My name is Jeffery Combs. I'm the president and founder of Golden Mastermind Seminars Incorporated. If you have not received a 20-minute coaching session with me, feel free to reach out. I would be honored to offer one to you. Or if you'd like to find out more about my one-on-one coaching, feel free to send me a message in Facebook Messenger or go to my website, goldenmastermind.com, and you can fill out a 20-minute survey. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a great afternoon.